My grandmother has always been a force to be reckoned with. She is a very strong individual, but she holds a lot to her chest. She was gracious enough to let me interview her as my first subject for the Uncovered podcast. And I am very thankful that she trusted me with her story and with her time. This story, just like all other stories on the Uncovered podcast, will be split up into 3 parts. This first part jumps right into the nitty-gritty very early on, and I hope that we will continue to do the same throughout not just this story, but all other stories here on this podcast. You might also notice that there is no visual component to this podcast, and there never will be. We want you to be able to experience these stories the way you might experience an audiobook, with your own thoughts, your own opinions, and your own visualizations. So here is my grandmother and the beginning of her life story on Uncovered, a Family Story. So, what was it like growing up as the only girl with 2 brothers?
I didn't have 2 brothers until I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
My younger brother was born when I was 11, and my older brother left home then about 3 to 4 years later.
Okay.
And then I left home 6 years later. But my older brother just was so strange, and we had no relationship. If we passed each other in the house, we would reach out and hit the other one. But if we passed each other on the street, we would just look the other way, as if we didn't know each other.
Was that ever, a weird way to grow up? Like, you having a family, but not really having a family? Or did it just seem...
It was... The entire atmosphere was insane.
Wow. Yeah.
And I used to just think, I would like to just have a normal family. That was my dream as a child. Just a normal family. Not anything spectacular, but just there were other people on the street who looked like normal families, and we were not. I have a scar on my finger here from when my brother, one day I had to take the trash out, and my parents were upstairs, and I went to come back in the kitchen door, and he had locked it. And then it was standing there, because it's a glass window, and so then I went to the front and rang the doorbell. Well, it was one of those old doorbells where it had the long pipes.
Okay.
So it was ding dong.
Oh, okay.
And he held the pipes so that there was no noise was made.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, I did. I wouldn't know that either. But anyway, he was diabolical. And I went then to the back door, and what he would do, he was doing something so that it was not making much noise on the glass. And he said, if you go to the front, then I'll go to the front. If you go to the back, then I'm going to the back. And so it was, and this went on for a while, and I finally, in banging on the back door, my hand went through the glass.
Oh, dang.
And so I had to go, so it ripped a piece of my skin off my...
Oh, my God.
And I obviously had to go to the emergency room.
Oh, really?
And it was a Monday night, and my father always played corkball on Monday night. He always went off. he was so furious at my brother that he beat my brother to the point that his face, or he was so beat up that we were told to tell people he fell down the steps.
Really?
Really? Yeah.
Was...
My father seldom got involved with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure, I mean, he wasn't angry that I had gotten hurt. He was angry he couldn't go to the corkball.
I could be wrong about this. I've heard stories of, and if you don't want to talk about this, that's totally fine. But I've heard stories of, like, you getting dragged down the steps.
That was a different time.
Yeah.
And that was him.
Yeah. Was there a similar kind of understanding of, like, oh, like, there's going to be a different, like, backstory so that people don't realize what is really going on?
No, because I left. That night I left. I ran out the back door. He threw me in the chair, kitchen chair. I went upstairs and I looked out the kitchen door. Looked this way, freedom, whatever. And I ran out of the back door, out the back gate, down the alley, and I ran as if I had a group of bloodhounds chasing me in absolute terror. I just ran to my friend's house.
Did they ever try and, like, find you after that?
Oh, yes, yeah. And so this goes way off. This has nothing to do with the brother thing. That has to do with the eventually leaving home. That's part of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am going to ask about that too. So.
But we did not speak to each other until I was about 16 or 15.
Okay.
He was 2 years older than me, 2 years and 4 days older than me, and all of a sudden, I think we realized he started the anti-war hippie generation appeared, and for my birthday, he gave me a Joan Baez album. And I can picture myself even now, and it would have been almost 60 years ago, in my bedroom. I had a record player and playing that, and my brother and I talking, and that was the first time that had ever happened. But nobody would play with him. I'm sure he has Asperger's.
Mm-hmm.
And
you said he was kind of like gifted before gifted was a thing.
He was really he was smart. We're all smart in our family. You could skip 4th grade if your birthday fell. Our birthdays fell to where we had to wait a year to start kindergarten, and so they would have a test that students could take to pass 4th grade. I can tell you that my attitude about school was, it gives me a headache to do math.
I feel that.
So, and I would just, like a test, I just really wouldn't do it. I'd do the minimum, but anyway, and he did too. But anyway, he was able to pass.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't like him at the school. My mother sent him that was a Catholic school. My mother sent him to another Catholic school in the neighborhood. And at the end of that year, he and I don't know if it was that year or the following year, but he and another boy, a nun was chasing them, in the building and fell and broke her arm, so that he had to leave. He and this guy had to leave, and they were sent to there was a Catholic brother, Maryknoll brother, who had a class in the basement at St. Mary's High School, and it was for problem kids, and it was all different grades. And to make it easier on himself, he just had my brother go directly into 8th grade. So it was two grades that he skipped. And then he started the gifted high school.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't do any work. And apparently he would come home it was McBride High School is what.
Okay.
And he would have his book bag, and he would set it by the front door when he got home, and then in the morning he'd pick it up and take it. So he never did any work, and they were paying tuition, so my mother decided after 2 years there was no point in paying tuition, so she took him out and sent him to Roosevelt, which was a public school.
Yeah, still exists.
And it was about 2 to 3 blocks away.
Oh, okay. So you guys walked.
Right. And that's where I went.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just, he was just very odd. And, but it really wasn't until then that we realized that, well, I think until he actually maybe got a little older and had some musical interest in which I had already had musical interest.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, it's one of the, so it wasn't a
normal
one girl growing up with 2 brothers.
Yeah.
It wasn't even one girl growing up with 1 brother. It was like one. The house was just a horrible atmosphere, a horrible place to be.
Yeah.
And my mother didn't realize that, everyone could tell. I mean, she just thought if I couldn't have, like I had 2 windows in my bedroom in the front, and there were curtains that came down, those swooshing things, and then cafe curtains like halfway down. And I either had to have both curtains had to be exactly the same. Either both open or because of how it looked.
Jeez.
So, and somehow not realizing that everyone out there could hear her screaming constantly.
It just makes me think, I'm like, I had a hole in my bedroom window curtain for like 18 years of my life. Nobody cared.
Yeah, I mean, it was. And I think I've told you that my mother punished me one time because I was wearing a blouse that had what they called a Peter Pan collar. So it's kind of like a curved collar.
Okay.
And I didn't have the top button buttoned, and that shirt. That is how that shirt should be worn, but my brother had the regular Oxford thing, and his was buttoned all the way, and she punished him for that because that shirt should not have the top button. There was no winning.
Yeah.
There was not even any, skating through unobserved. Yeah. And I think that's part of why I hate public speaking. Please don't notice me, because I don't know what's going to happen
It sounds like, at least from what I've picked up like over the years, that like you and your older brother had a very different situation growing up with your parents than your younger brother did. Mm-hmm. Do you think that affected your guys' relationships with each other in both senses? Like, do you think you and your older brother maybe would be closer in some sense if you guys had, been treated better? And do you think...
Well, we didn't have a family.
Yeah.
There were we had fellow inmates is what we were. And it was very different for my older brother and me. And it was worse for him.
Mm-hmm.
And when he left, then that got directed at me. And he left shortly. He was 17, but it was closer to his 18th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And the police won't bring you back once you turn 17. That's why 17 is the magic number. So I knew 17, and it was 2 years age difference. But I was all ready. 4 days after my 17th birthday, my parents were going out. I had it all arranged. They didn't know, obviously. But yes, so we did not have a family. And my brother and I actually, after he left home, we did connect occasionally, and we developed a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
He was still an odd person,
yes,
but it was the 60s and 70s, and everybody was trying really hard to be odd, to be nonconformist, and my brother just was. And that was his saving grace, is that he developed friends. He developed a whole network of friends.
That's awesome.
Yes, and we did develop a relationship. So, I mean, you were with me when we drove down to see him. So there was, I didn't really go see him or talk to him on the phone much, but Ed and I tried really hard to make sure that he did not lose his property while he was in the hospital.
Yeah. But didn't he end up giving it away?
No.
Oh, okay.
He ended up selling it, and the very guy that we prevented from visiting him in the nursing facility. And the thing is, I kept calling Health and Senior Services, telling them what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they could find no place for him to go after he left that facility. I tried to get him to come to a nursing facility in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And he had an absolute fit, but he's brain damaged now.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is.
I know.
And it's so the oddity of him is, that plus the brain damage. But what happened is he refused to come to anywhere that would take him. There was no place for him out in his area. So he went back to his home. Mm-hmm. And that's where this guy was living, who only came for him and his girlfriend to get money.
Yeah.
And the woman accidentally confessed it to Mike's friend. Mm-hmm. Well, Ed and I had already figured this out.
Yeah.
We had all, and the friends, we all figured this. But,
yeah.
But Mike told me while he was in the nursing facility that he didn't want to go back to his trailer park that he owned. He said he said something like, my life isn't really working out for me. Aww. And I thought, well, it only took him 70 years to figure that nugget out. I mean, we all knew that. Yeah. Long ago. But, so anyway, he ended up going back. And thanks to Ed and I, he did not lose his property. And we were trying to protect him, and Mike said to Ed, that he felt it was encroaching on his freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something about he wanted to, he was choosing Mark. That was the guy that was, and so Mark was there, and so that's who he was choosing to run things for him. And he wanted us to back off, so we did. And so Mike sold his trailer park, got a whole lot of money for it, more than I think anybody expected, and then just bought a place further
out? Okay.
If, depending upon where the destination of out is.
Yeah.
But, and it had a shack, and they were going to build a house.
Oh, God.
So this shack did not have running water.
Oh, my God.
Or is it or no electricity? I don't remember, but anyway, it was really bad. And
did you go out to it?
No.
Okay.
No. It was told to me. And so at some point, Mark was not going to, he thought Mark was going to be taking care of him. I don't know what happened, but Mark made off with the money.
Oh, yeah.
And so, Mike has nothing, and he is now living in a state-run nursing home. And so his life is ending in about one of the worst ways you can imagine.
Yeah.
So he had a goal to be a millionaire by the age of 30.
Really?
Yep. Oh, he was very ambitious. He had this house he wanted to live in, and that might have been like by the age of 30, and it had been the original governor's mansion from Missouri.
Oh, okay.
But it was it was near the Grand Avenue.
Oh,
area.
okay.
And Mike owned a bunch of houses, and that he was renting out. And but he got busted for pot.
Oh.
And again. And so he, all of the lenders called in their loans, so he lost everything.
Oh my God. Okay.
So,
this is kind of...
and he went from there to DeSoto.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
And it was a house that he went, wait a minute, did he go from there to, I think to DeSoto, and he was supposed to go in halves with my mother, although I think my mother actually paid for it, and also paid for a car for him. But it was a very strange place, and there was a little pond, and it was kind of at the end of this road.
Was that when he ended up on the news? Or was that Camdenton?
About the
the pipes or whatever that they wanted to...
Oh, no, that was somewhere else. But he was
Okay.
on the news when he lived in St. Louis.
Oh, God, of course.
And that was he lived on Shenandoah. And those were really big houses. He had 2 Irish setters, and somebody opened his gate and let them out.
Oh, my God, who would
And
do
so
that?
he went, who knows, but he went to the Humane Society to see.
Yeah.
And they had them, but because these were like purebred Irish setters, they sold them. But they're supposed to hold them.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't.
Oh, my God.
So he was on the news about that.
This is why microchips exist now. Okay. But,
Yes, yeah. But, yeah, so he had this place then in DeSoto, and it was supposed to be, I guess my mother was going to come occasionally. it's not really the kind of place that she would go. It's, not, at least not to spend the night.
It wasn't elite enough.
But it was, it was only, DeSoto's only was like maybe an hour's drive from where they lived, but, and it was this horrible house, shack, and as my younger brother described it, it looks like something a couple of guys put up in a weekend. And he had a wood stove in it. Mm-hmm. And the walls were like, have you ever seen a wasp's nest? Mm-hmm. Well, the walls looked like they were made out of that fibrous, flammable stuff. And he stuck a wood stove in there.
Oh my God, that's terrifying. Okay. So...
But I do have to tell you, because I brought up that my mother was partial owner of that.
Oh, yeah.
And there are more bizarre stories to go with that whole place. Including when he was driving down the highway and saw a peacock and stopped and put it in his van because it was just on its own. He kept it with his chickens in the penned area.
Did it kill his chickens?
No.
Oh.
When he went out one day to feed it, it had frozen. And the way he tells things, though, is it's as if none of it is odd or unusual at all.
Just like it's an everyday thing.
Yeah. Like, I got up and I brushed my teeth. Well, I got up and the peacock was frozen. And I said, oh my God, what did you do? He said, well, I put it in the wood stove.
Oh my God.
So I hope it was dead and not reviving while in there.
Oh my God. He cooked it. The poor thing.
But there are other things.
Yeah.
That place has a whole bunch of really entertaining stories. But I brought up that my mother had bought this. Mm-hmm. So she came out one day when he was there, or one weekend, and he always had people at wherever he lived. There are always people there because he always had an apartment or a house or a place. Mm-hmm. And, homeless people or,
Groupies.
Derelict people, whatever, would be living there. And so there were people there, and he always had this music up, blaring. My mother came, and I don't remember what it was, but he threw her out. He threw her off of her property.
Her own property. Oh gosh.
Yes. Oh,
your brother's so funny.
There are other stories about my brother and my mother that are really the best stories of all. Yeah. But they're the stories of things that happened after we, Bastille Day, and we managed to break out.
So going back to that, once again, I so many family members, I can never keep up. But I had heard...
I'm the one here sitting...
I know. Well, no, I got that part. What I mean is I had heard at a time as well that when you left home, it wasn't the first time you tried.
Correct.
And the police brought you back.
No.
No?
No. The first time I left was this thing with my father where he threw me partway down the steps into these pictures on the wall that I cut my hand. It was broken glass. And then he grabbed me by my hair and pulled me the rest of the way down. And then he threw me into a kitchen chair and told me to stay there. And he went upstairs where my mother was. And that's when I spied freedom through the
so that was the
door.
first time.
That was the first time. So I ran out. I went to a friend's house, and the only reason that the mothers of my friends all knew about my family. She, I think, called the rectory. They were very Catholic. Had 8 kids, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, called the priest and talked to him. And so I think she was inclined to let me stay the night. And the weekend before, I had gone to the college church, the St. Louis University Church, Grand and Lindell, and spoke to a priest in the confessional. And I didn't go to confession. I mean, I didn't buy all that stuff. And I think I just went to talk to him about my situation. I needed help. And so once I left and went to my friend's house, I called that priest. And he arranged for me to go to, I guess, juvenile services, family service, something like that. And brought me there. And the caseworker, whoever he was, said that I needed to stay there then for anything to happen, for any work to be done. So the priest left. The caseworker was a lying, horrible person. And so it was juvenile detention. And I was taken into juvenile detention, and there were not enough beds for the number of girls there. And there were some girls there for like curfew. I mean, really. But anyway, there were not enough beds, so a bunch of us were, I guess, put in a paddy wagon and taken to city jail.
Oh my God.
Which doesn't even exist anymore. They closed it down because it's such a terrible, terrible place.
Yeah.
I think Tashara Jones maybe closed it down.
Yeah, isn't that the one where they tried to like break out of the windows and?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't know, but anyway, and but yes, that's where we spent the night. Where of course we couldn't sleep because people were yelling all night. There was a young woman with our group, a very small person, and I think she had maybe stabbed her father or stepfather, something like that, and she managed to get out of the handcuffs because she was so little. But anyway, so after being there overnight, we got hauled back to juvenile detention. Where everyone was still sleeping and there were no beds. So we were made to mop the floors and do this stuff, after getting a good night's sleep. So after we did that, and after the other inmates got up, we were allowed to go and sleep because they knew that nobody sleeps at city jail. And I was awakened and told that it was time for my hearing. I knew nothing about a hearing.
Yeah.
And I'm taken into this room, and there are my parents and this caseworker.
Okay.
And the caseworker said, in front of my parents, your parents are allowed to beat you as long as they don't kill you. And I did not want to go back home. And he did not want to. His view was I was 16, I could just wait, and then he didn't have to do any work. And I didn't want to go. And at some point, I realized, no, I was going to have to go home. So I went home. And I was at school on the following Monday. Or the following, I guess it was, I think this was, I don't know, a weekend, I'm not sure. But anyway, the following Monday, I was at school and I was called out of my class to my advisor's office. Now, I think my advisor, because my older brother had been at the school, I think he had experience with my mother, because I think he had some idea. Anyway, I was called out of class down to the advisor's office, and there was my advisor and that priest that I had gone to, and the priest was angry with me that I had told him I needed help, and he went to help me, and what did I do? I just walked out, and I told him what had happened. Well, the caseworker gave him a totally different story, And so what they did, the advisor had me call in his office, had me call that caseworker, because the priest said, well, you were allowed to have a representative. You were, and that's, no,
Yeah,
I
you
wasn't
didn't know
told
about
that. I wasn't told about that. And anyway, so the advisor had me call the juvenile detention, did whatever, family services, whatever it was, speak to my caseworker where they were listening in. The priest and and I, because he gave them some whole story that I didn't want any representative. I wanted to just go home, and so I said, why didn't you tell me that I could have a representative? And he said, you didn't ask. So they knew.
Yeah.
It was clear. And I was vindicated, and so it's just, hang up the phone. But so I stayed there for another, I don't know, number of months. Left 4 days after my 17th birthday. But this is what is, there's all of this, there is so much acrimony taking place involving, like, schools. The government doesn't want the schools to do, all of these things. You know what? Some of us need it.
Yeah.
Some of us needed it. If I did not have that, an advisor who was willing to kind of stick his neck out.
Yeah.
Now, my life didn't change, except that they believed me.
And you knew you had support.
And I had vindication and yes, and understanding.
Yeah.
So, but yes, and that is not being allowed anymore because it's woke. Thankfully, I had a woke advisor.
Yeah.
But yes, so I went back home.
When you left the second time, you said it was 4 days after you turned 17. I guess first part of the question is, did your parents ever, when did your parents try and contact you after that again?
Oh, I left a note and a phone number of where I was.
Oh, so you had a place you were going.
Yes.
So where did you go?
It was the home of where your grandpa's family lived. I knew his younger brother.
Bill, yeah.
And he had been a coach, a track coach, and he taught, I think, once a week, maybe a gym class at the grade school that I was going to. And I think that was just his first, I think they only did that 1 year, I'm not really sure. And so he, for some reason, for maybe reasons I don't even want to go into at the moment, but it was a ridiculous thing for me to go there.
But you lived in the garage?
No. I lived in their house.
Oh, okay.
And so I left a phone number and a I don't think I told them where I was. I just left a phone number that I had left. My father called, furious, and told me to get home right now. Well, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And that's when the next day, I had a boyfriend at the time. And the next day, we were hanging out, and I felt really odd all day, physically odd. And it was kind of like it was this overriding sense of this oddness that I felt. And I thought, maybe I'm coming down with a cold or, something, because it was a real physical sensation. And then at some point I realized that it was the first time in my life that I did not have a knot in my stomach.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know it was there because it had always been there. And it was such a different sensation. And it took me, really, it was most of the day before I realized what it was.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to fast forward. Only just this.
I'm going to say let's pause here and go back to it
No,
after.
right now, just.
Okay.
At some point, decades later, after I made contact, after my mother told me that my younger brother was dying when he wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, and I was on the phone with her, and I told her that story about how it was the day after I left. It was the first time in my life I didn't have a knot in my stomach. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Oh, I know what you mean. I've had, just having this knot in my stomach." She caused it, and yet it was, again, all about her. Anyway, that's why I just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay.
Because was just so bizarre.
We decided to stop here for many reasons, but one of them was a lack of time. We didn't have time to finish the stories that we wanted to finish. But if you join us next month, on episode 2, we will pick up right where we left off. And I hope to see you then.